Please know that I don't believe a single word that I'm saying. She smiles. Tiny dick! It's my husband. She shrugs. Married for 25 years, 2 kids, a house on the coast, all sorts of fun plans for the future. Then, a sad smile flashes across her face. Eat shit! Michael Mitchell says if she had a pet fox, yeah, it would be cool. But you see the X's on its face, it's dead. And that's sad. I'm used to it. Thank you for your understanding. He grins for just a second. Here I am discovering how to live alone for the first time. At 50, crazy, isn't it? Toilet brush up your ass! Wow, this woman, really. It's really not so easy. You bite your cheek to avoid laughing and start driving. With a bit of luck, your passenger won't say anything for the remainder of the ride. The passenger heaves an odd sigh. Eka Dimitro says, I know it's dead, but she swears a lot and she is kind of funny. She is, isn't she? Just random bursts of random words. He didn't even take me home. Talking to herself and her voice is steeped in sorrow. I wasn't asking for much. A little tenderness. Rotten fellows! He's my spouse after all, my husband, married for 25 years. 25 years. Let her be. She lowers her eyes. I was talking to myself. Lukewarm shit! Please forgive me. Nod. You keep driving in silence. Your passenger stays still and quiet until she starts mumbling again. You can't hear everything. From time to time a terrible swear word or a degrading insult pops out. If he would at least have... Twat, twat, twat! What's more, always says the same fistulous words. I know he... She suddenly heaves a deeply sorrowful sigh. Not from the heart, but from her gut, her bowels. You jerk off! You're young. You raise your gaze to look at your passenger. Perhaps you don't realize what it does to you. Actually, no one seems to understand. She is shaking. Shit! It's all ending. Everything is broken. It's all a waste. She stares at you. You can see the shame in her face. Her cheeks turn crimson. Her eyes fill with tears. Please forgive me. I ask you, bitch, to please, whore. Forgive me, bastard. Look understanding. Don't worry about it. They're only words, ma'am. You pause. I know you don't mean anything by them. Your passenger's voice seems even more distant than before. What if I actually did mean what I was saying? I don't know what's going on in my mind anymore. At first I thought it was dementia, that I was becoming senile. She catches her breath. As for you, you approach her destination. I just left dinner with my husband. He was distant and cold, even though he was the one who insisted we see each other. He even chose the restaurant, La Pierre. Very nice place. She shakes her head. I still don't really know what he wanted. He ate almost nothing, didn't drink a drop of wine. It was dismal. Then he got up and left me there alone like a fucking idiot. She smiles. A fucking idiot. That's what I am. One hell of a fucking idiot. She sighs with relief. Excuse me, but I think that did me some good. Your white eyes make her laugh. Sorry, I got carried away. Also, by the way, she hasn't cursed in a few sentences now. It was... You look for the right term. Surprising, she giggles. It was the first and the last time. Cross my heart. Silence. The last time. You park the taxi in front of her place. The passenger stares intently at her building for a few seconds. It looks ready to step off its foundation and run down the street. I think it's past. I feel so much better. I feel relieved. Like... She smiles. Like a dick sucker! What the hell? Her face flushes. Oh my god, this woman, what is wrong with her? She all but throws her fare in your face. In seconds, she slams the door and runs towards the lobby of her building. Once she's inside, you drive away. Ooh, nice money. All the best of luck to you, lady. I hope you get better. The passenger who's entered your cab slams the door and stares at you intently. Good evening. Are you kidding? That's how you want this to start? I'm not sure I follow. A small laugh escapes her. Naturally. But of course! If I were to say to you... Her voice is slightly raspy with an oddly metallic sound. October 27th. That's the date, the night of the attack. The night you... Could this woman be the judge? 10:46 p.m. No, the attack took place later. Does that ring a bell? You nod your head. Answer. Yes, it does, miss. Don't you miss me? Not another word. She waggles an accusing finger at you. Last October 7th, you were in this very cab, driving a fare, and you committed a crime. That's right, sir, a crime. Let her go on. I'd spent the whole day working like an idiot for that rotten newspaper. Do you have any idea what I do for a living? Say nothing. I'm a sub-editor, Mr. Taxi driver. I correct mistakes that a bunch of moron journalists make. There isn't a single one, not one, who knows how to write a proper sentence. I'd had it, really had it, and on the night of October 27th, you cut me off. Say nothing. I almost died that night. She grinds her teeth, you shudder. I crashed my car, my boyfriend's car that is. The same guy who made yet another comment about women drivers. The neighbors called the police that night. I made such a scene. To think the guy dares call himself a feminist. She pauses for a dramatic effect as a disturbing smile spreads over her face. Say nothing. Her voice is suddenly noticeably quieter, almost fragile. The next day, no more boyfriend. No more car. I messed up a job interview with a major news outlet, a paper where people know how to write, where they follow basic rules of French grammar. Imagine for just a minute I could have stopped correcting copy for a bunch of morons. She takes a deep breath. But all because of you, because of your cab, everything changed the night of October 27th. A sad, faraway look comes over her. My life has never been the same since. But her voice is bursting with fury and hatred. Forced to go live with my mother while I went apartment hunting in this rotten city where tiny studios cost an arm and a leg. So I started looking for you. The back of your neck breaks into a sweat. You can feel cold, clammy droplets about to drip down your spine. I started asking around. I bribed one of your colleagues into giving me your number. A droplet of sweat starts sliding down your back. Then I found your address. Your first one, that is. You shiver as the drop reaches your boxers. But that's your business. What matters is I did eventually get your other address, the real one. The droplet has reached your tailbone. You've started shaking. At first, I admit, I was planning on going to your place. She shrugs her shoulders. Her voice has softened a little. Just maybe to spit in your face. Or something like that. And then I thought to myself, no, Ludivine, maybe the guy deserves a chance. You never know. You're going to apologize. Go on, give it your all, take your time, take a deep breath. She breathes in deeply then, exhales. Like that. Tell her about the attack. I'm sorry, but I don't remember that night. Not memorable enough, huh? No, I've forgotten what happened that night. She freezes. A few minutes after I met you, I was attacked. Attacked by the judge, the serial killer. It's you! You survived! Yeah. A host of conflicting feelings flicker across her face. Doubt, surprise, anger, the desire to slap you. Then she falls back against the car seat, all her anger somehow gone. I didn't know. The police wanted to keep it all a secret. I didn't see the killer's face, and he didn't see mine, for my own protection, for my peace of mind. The newspaper where I work, they're looking for you. We have a reporter looking for you. The last few months have been difficult for you. Really difficult. Apologize. I'm still sorry. Even if I don't remember anything, even though I was attacked, it doesn't change anything about... I can't find the right words. Maybe because you imagine it for a moment. A normal night, how things should have been. Passengers, rides in Paris, a tourist heading to Mauritius or something. And you, your cigarettes, cheap packs of beer, the little radio next to your bed. Your passenger clears her throat. She's noticed your mind is elsewhere. Thanks. All her anger has evaporated. No more looks that could kill, simmering rage or grinding teeth. My boyfriend was a jerk anyway, and then this job, maybe it wasn't so great. It gives you a little smile. I tend to get all worked up about things. You'd noticed. And sometimes I take things a little too far. That too. In Paris, I guess we are quick to forget about being nice to each other, about being polite, and for a taxi driver, you're a real sweetheart. She gives you a short laugh. This is what I suggest. I'm going to exit the cab. I'm going to go for a little walk in the cold to get my mind off things, and then when I get home, I'll destroy all the information I have on you. Is that okay with you? You nod yes. Thank you. This word echoes for a minute through the taxi. Your passenger reaches for the door. The door opens then closes. You're alone in the taxi, your head spinning slightly as if you'd had a drink, just one, but something really strong. You briefly try to remember that night. Nothing but a vague impression of something behind you, the killer's silhouette, a fleeting presence. You shake your head, but there's nothing more than before. If only you had turned around, everything would have been easier. If you had seen the face of... All at once you start the cab. Okay. Off to our next client. Who are you, lady? Going to Bastille. Oh, that's also a lot of money. Your next passenger has that overtired look worn by so many young Parisians. She collapses into the back seat and mumbles an address on the other side of the city. You start driving. You discreetly watch her in the rearview mirror. Her face looks familiar. Maybe she's famous. Maybe you've driven her before. After a few minutes, you decide she must be a babysitter. Young, not necessarily wealthy, an expression of utter boredom on her face. You often pick up this kind, especially in nice neighborhoods. You sense your passenger wants to talk about the killer. It's simple. Since the first murder, everyone thinks they know something. Everyone thinks they saw something. And this passenger is no exception. Having a good evening? She raises her head. Yeah. She falls silent again. The silence lasts a few seconds. Out your window, Paris is just beginning to fall asleep. Occasionally, you catch her glancing discreetly at you, like maybe she recognizes you too. Several minutes go by before she dares break the silence. May I ask you something? She leans forward slightly. You and I have already talked. You may not remember, but I was babysitting for an Iranian family and... She leaves her sentence hanging. Say nothing. She eventually shakes her head. Oh well. It's not at all the same situation anyway. These are new clients. And I think I'm in love with the father. You speed up unconsciously. In love? Yes, in love. She smiles at you, then looks quickly outside at the road. It's late. A few pedestrians are walking up the street, heads buried in their coats and scarves. I can't stop thinking about him. There's something warm about him, about the way he moves. He's so sweet. A bit distant maybe, a bit disconnected. You're a romantic. A romantic? He snickers. It's not really my style to fall in love so easily. Actually, that never happens to me. I've had a few boyfriends, one girlfriend, nothing serious, no real attachment. But this... She opens her eyes wide. She's speaking to herself more than you. Her fingers slide over the window as she leaves a message you can't see from the front seat. That's why I left him a message tonight. A message? Yes, a letter. That I slipped into his coat pocket. Her eyes start to wander again. She's elsewhere. He used to play rugby. He's got an amazing build. He's got a bit of a belly now, and it pulls on his shirt buttons. Her eyes twinkle. I love it. It makes me melt. When I close my eyes, I picture him. She stops, as if she'd only just realized she wasn't alone in the taxi. What if his wife finds the letter? So be it. I'll find other kids to sit for. It'll be a bit sticky since the babysitting world in Paris is so small. She smiles, a little for herself and then a little for you. You can't quite tell if she's being sarcastic or not. I just had to give it a try. I want him to hold me, to hug me tight. A wave of sadness washes over her. But she leaves her sentence hanging for quite a while. You can tell she's unraveling the knots of the story in her mind. It's like I don't even exist. His wife takes care of everything. She calls me, pays me, orders the cab. She's lovely, adorable actually. And the little kid is an angel, always smiling, always in a good mood. She needs a moment to complete her sentence. He barely says hello. It's like I don't even exist. She looks away. You've almost reached your destination. Silence fills the cab. The young lady leans forward suddenly, like she's surprised to find herself at the end of her street near her building. Spicy says, sounds like you? Oh, sarcastic or not, eh? Sounds like you. Oi. It me. I should be ashamed, shouldn't I? Her eyes are filled with tears. She's shaking a bit. You hear from the tone of her voice that she's panicking. No. She nods. Oh yes. I know I should be. I shouldn't have. You pull up to the sidewalk while she heaves an odd sigh, a stifled sob perhaps. I'm such an idiot. She pays her fare and gets quickly out of the cab. She practically runs to her building, unlocks the door and throws herself into the lobby. You slowly release the steering wheel and stop to catch your own breath. You take a moment and turn the key in the ignition. Okay. Actually, what about... Some information. You park your taxi across from the stadium, just a few meters from a 2-story building. It's an old brick place that clashes with the huge concrete behemoth that is the Charles T. Stadium. You get out of the car and walk to the front door. You knock. You wait a few minutes, lights come on, and the door finally opens. Marco appears. Marco is a former taxi driver, a strange guy, a bit spacey and different. He's been working at the stadium for a few years now. Well, shit, you're still alive? That's Marco. You like him. I mean, wow, so nice to see you. Even though he stole your wife. Oh, that's nasty. Come in. You want something to drink? Alright, you stop drinking. Cup of coffee? Yes, please. You follow him into his caretaker's home. Pretty nice despite the mess and filth. He serves you a cup of coffee and sits down at the table. You follow suit. The only noise in the room is the TV behind Marco. Before you came by, he was playing a soccer video game. The fans are singing and clapping their hands. So, what you've been up to? I have some questions for you. He shakes his head. No, not yet, man. Seriously, no. The last time I helped you out, I lost my job, so the answer is no. You have no choice and you know it. You owe me this much. Marco drops his head between his shoulders. He starts to beg. I'm telling you, man, I love this job. It's so easy. I get to take care of a stadium that's empty 75% of the time. He sits up roughly in his chair. Behind him on the screen, the stadium is going wild. I need information on Ronan Besson. He straightens up. Ronan? The coach that got killed by the judge. The very one. He was a great guy. Everyone's torn up about it. But there were rumors. Some parents heard he was a little too hands-on with the kids a while back, if you get my drift, but no one ever looked into it. Ooh. Was it true? I don't know nothing. He sighs. A few months ago, Ronan cornered a kid, like, by the showers, you know what I mean? The kid stabbed him in the thigh with a pair of scissors and ran away. The kid's parents weren't sure whether they'd file a complaint. The club director brought Ronan in, and bam, 2 days later he was murdered. Who else knows this? About the kid? No one, I think. Well, maybe some other parents? I don't know. You get up. One last thing. Give him the name of the victims. He doesn't react until you mention Charles Bograin. Oh yeah, him. I know him. I mean, everybody knows him. Right-wing extremist son of a bitch. Hold on. What are you doing these days? I can't say. Marco sits up. Damn it. I'm going to get fired. Easy. His voice speeds up. Don't tell anyone where you got this information, okay? Don't worry. Yeah, I've heard that before. A vuvuzela noise comes from the TV. Okay, I've got to run. He walks you to the door, mumbling with clenched teeth. Every time I run into you, you jinx me. Every single time. You walk outside and over to your taxi. Door, key, motor purring, you go back to work. Hey, could visit also this one since it's so close. Cigarette, you want a cigarette. What was that? Nothing, I guess. Oh no, is that the glitch again? Please, no. Hey, here we go. Ooh, that scared me for a bit. Hey. You double park and wait for your next passenger to slide into the back seat. He looks at you like he appreciates you and your taxi. He gives you his address. You start driving. A few words were exchanged. The weather, taxis, traffic. Then you can tell it's coming. The inevitable conversation about the killer. Some bits of information, rumors, things overheard. Make a mental note of what you've heard. Who knows, it might come in handy. Your passenger doesn't make a sound for the next few minutes of the trip. It doesn't bother you. You have enough of it on your mind. Your investigation, the judge, say. You're overcome with the craving to smoke. You nod slowly and glance at your passenger. Calm and still, he seems far away. Cold as hell out, huh? Yes, you're right. It is really cold out. He slowly turns his head towards you and gives you an odd look, like he's disappointed you're talking to him. He watches you closely for another minute and turns back to look out the window. You keep your eyes on the road. The silence becomes heavy all of a sudden. You feel a strange sense of camaraderie with your passenger. You look at him quickly in the rearview mirror. It doesn't look familiar at all, and yet it's like you know him. A second later, an outside light shines on his face at a weird angle. It looks like he's smiling. A few seconds later, you drive down his street. He straightens up a bit. You park in front of the number he gave you. He pays his fare without a word. The door opens slowly and he smiles at you. You can tell it comes from the bottom of his heart, despite how uptight he is. You're really a swell guy. You weren't expecting that. By the time you collect your thoughts, your passenger is already far away. Disappears into a building. A moment goes by before you turn the key in your ignition. What the hell just happened? Oh dear, we're far away. Okay, let's go for this one. Oh, maybe I should have put some fuel in my car. That would have been better. The woman getting in your cab looks frantic. I've lost my inspiration. Oh god, it's her again. Oh god, it's her. I've lost my inspiration, every last drop of it. Come on, drive. You throw her very skeptical looks in the rearview mirror. I'll tell you when to stop. I have to. I am seeing a stream. Dead. A billabong. She stops talking. You hear a low guttural sound coming from her throat. A mantra. A billabong? Billabong. I must find a billabong. What's that? She inhales, closes her eyes and focuses. Her voice drops, becomes more intense. A billabong. A dead river. There's one right below us. Drive, drive, I say. Start driving. You start driving. A few minutes go by before you realize your passenger is making a guttural sound. The sound resonates with the hum of the engine. Once in a while she changes notes, modulating and playing with the harmonics. Suddenly she shouts, "Turn left!" Then abruptly, as if she were following a path she alone could see, "Go down the boulevard!" You drive for a few minutes aimlessly. And back, your passenger is still singing. The meter is running, the kind of ride that puts you out of sorts. Who knows when it will end? Your passenger squeals, "Stop! Right here! Not a bit further!" You brake. "Yes! Yes!" She whistles a high, loud note. The billabong runs just beneath us. Its water flows no more. The black stream from my vagina has stopped short. What? What? The rumble of revolution. The water flows no more. All that remains is to clear away the remains. You stop the engine. Silence fills the cab. Your passenger's low voice and the scratch of her pencil on the paper are hypnotizing. How many rivers have run dry? The water has left its bed and flows no more. You feel something vibrate beneath you, probably the metro. How I long to sculpt the clay and the mud of life in this water that flows no longer. Except the metro doesn't run this late at night. I plunge my calves in this water that flows no longer. I am calmed and refreshed by its coolness. She squeals so loudly it makes you jump. She then returns to a simpler, more natural tone. Thank you. This poem has been years in the making. I was only missing a few lines until tonight. I sensed the billabong I needed while I was walking down the street, like a charon. A muse. She opens her eyes. You. When you're driving alone at night like this, what moves you the most? I'm never alone. She shuts her eyes. Well, of course. True solitude does not exist. Simply pronouncing the word solitude proves we are not alone because someone is listening. I like that idea. I walk in the night on water that flows no longer. At my side are those who saw it run. A pause. Superb. A second later, she has left the cab. I knew I would find my inspiration on the path to the billabong. She freezes. Your color is marble. Opficalcite. Never forget this. She says nothing more, passes her fare through the window and walks away with purpose. You sigh and drive away. I wonder if we have enough time to even get to that gas station. Looks like we did. Okay, you pull over and stop at a gas station. Okay, let's... Not a soul in sight. The fluorescent lights irritate your eyes. Yeah, same thing. Okay. We're gonna be poor again. After tanking. Okay, you walk into the mini-mart. The guy behind the counter looks like all the other guys behind counters you come across in your lifetime. Welcome. He sighs, beyond tired of repeating the same sentence over and over. To La Bella Pompe. Talk with the clerk. Say, a guy like you, someone who spends most nights here, you must know something about the killer, right? He raises his head and seems almost happy you brought it up. A new clue. Let's buy another lottery. Can't win them all. Newspaper. Please come back to... The clerk is still in the middle of his sentence when you leave the shop. Okay, let's go. Can I read the newspaper? Yes, I can. You pull a newspaper out of your glove. You glance at the critique of the great Alicia Cleff's latest collection of poetry. The critic seems convinced but is curious to know what might have inspired her to write this masterpiece. You turn the page and stop. You've read about a third of the newspaper. We have inspired her. We did it. Keep reading. You stop reading and go back a few pages. You thought you saw something. It's a photo of the French soccer team, who just won a match against a team from Vanuatu. You have no idea where Vanuatu is. You only have a third left to read. Read the whole thing. As soon as you get to the page you stop. Your instinct tells you to look at. It's on a controversial subject. The victims of Richtofen are appealing in an international class action suit. They still haven't seen a single cent of compensation. The article describes the hundreds of people affected with partial or total paralysis, nerve damage, Parkinson's. The victims are ready to fight for as long as it takes. You shut the paper, it will end up in the trash tonight. If you remember it's there. Okay. I think it's time to go home. You take a few minutes to update your board with new clues. Your neighbor flushes the toilet. Okay, so we don't have any new documents. Okay, let's see what new clues we have. Victim 2 is a fierce politician. Yay. Victim 3, respected colonel and community pillar. Victim 2 was killed in only spot without CCTV. Victim 2 killed an Algerian man, never arrested. Okay. Like, why is this hint connected to him? Is he like Algerian or something? Victim 3 was... Okay, Victim 3... Let's put Victim 3 information here. Victim 2 over here. What about... Oh. There's Victim 3 information. Okay. Victim 3 didn't have... Okay, Victim 3, no sign of violence. Wait, so Victim 2 is being connected to this guy. I doubt a homeless guy would go as far as to kill somebody in a blind spot.